Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Recommend. What's going on, guys? And today we're going to be looking at the Retro 8 Wireless Pro Controller for the NES Classic system. Now, strangely enough, I got this about 2 months ago, and I haven't really seen any reviews for this on YouTube, which is pretty strange since they review pretty much anything known to man, even the most obscure things. So imagine my surprise when I saw this dirt cheap controller and there were basically no reviews for it. I mean, do a search for it. Maybe I'm missing something, but let me know. Let's go over it, and I'll give you my opinions on it. So the controller's about $13 on Amazon. Generally go about $15 if you go online, or if you go to the actual brick and mortar stores. And you get a wireless controller, a receiver, and your little USB cable, micro USB cable that comes in the box. I mean, it's pretty bare bones. That's all you're gonna get in this box. Let me give you guys a look. So as you see, it's a 2.4 wireless gigahertz receiver. It's not Bluetooth, so you won't be connecting it to most of your other Bluetooth items or consoles or accessories, or even your cell phone. So here's the box again saying 2.4 wireless gigahertz wireless connection, micro USB I mentioned earlier, 480 milliamp lithium ion battery supporting up to 10 hours of gameplay. This, I can see that happening if it's RF. Usually RF controllers do last a lot longer than Bluetooth controllers, so I can sort of see that. And compatible with the NES Classic Edition, Wii, and Wii U. So that's enough for the box. You guys got to see what the box looks like. Of course, here's an NES Classic Edition. Here's the receiver that comes with the controller. Again, it's wireless, but it's RF wireless. Looks good. And here's the controller itself. Let's get that facing the right way. So as you see, you have your directional pad, your B and A buttons, your select, your start, and then this power button, which actually doesn't turn on your system, but it's an extra button to get you home back on the NES Classic, which, as you know, if you use Nintendo's regular controllers with it, which, here's a Nintendo controller, there's no home button on that. Let's put this way. Obviously there's no home button on it, so when you actually want to reset this or do anything else or load up another game, you actually have to stand up and go to the console and press the reset button to load up another game. With this, you can actually do it with this home button. Now, if you notice, the buttons on this are concave while these are convex. The travel, it's a little shorter on the original. This has a little more travel to it, and it feels a little mushier than the original. So just giving you that. In terms of the D-pad, now this is the big issue I have with this controller. The D-pad on this, if you see, has a pivot point, and on this one it doesn't. What does that mean? It means that when you're playing something like Contra, where you need to do multiple directions simultaneously, on this is pretty easy, because this lets you kind of rock the controller, and see, if you press down, I can still kind of move it around. With this, you press down, I mean, it's literally flat. It just goes flat. So it makes it much harder to play something like Contra. And I did try Contra, and it wasn't a fun game to play with this controller. Now, if you're playing something like a puzzle game or an RPG, I mean, it might not matter to you. The original controllers for the NES Classic, as you know, have 3-foot long cords. So maybe the fact that this is cheap and that gives you longer range via the RF might be better for you. But honestly, to play most games, you may not be all that happy with this. Now, let me just give you guys a head-to-head comparison on the size of it. So as you see with the regular NES controller, they're about the same size, same shape. There you go. Build quality feels actually pretty decent. The plastic on this feels pretty much the same as the original controller, which is actually a good thing. I don't know how I feel about the button layout. It should be, to me, the other way around. Like, B should be higher than A, because your thumb naturally falls this way. I mean, nobody plays like this. Most people play like this. So if they were going to do this with one button off angle, they really should have had the B button higher than the A, and this would have been much better. Now, one other thing that I have about this is a micro USB port for you guys, just in case you were curious. Let me show you the back before I forget, in case I haven't shown it to you guys. But One thing that I've noticed about this as well, which I found kind of strange, was for an RF controller, there seems to be a tiny little bit of lag, which I'll put up on the screen. I try to capture it to the best of my ability in slow motion. But when playing games, I did notice a tiny bit more lag than usual. I mean, there's always a little bit of lag with the NES Classic because it's using software emulation. But if you're adding a little more lag to it with a wireless controller like this one, it's going to make some games feel not so great, as well as the issue with the D-pad that I mentioned earlier, with the directional pads and missing that pivot point, which I don't know how you build a controller for an 8-bit system and completely forget the best part of the directional pad. That's actually pretty bad. So overall, for $13, I'm not gonna recommend this. There's no recommendation here, because that's a pretty bad problem. If you're playing 8-bit games, the last thing you need is lag, additional lag, and something that's missing a pivot point. So for right now, I would say no, even for $14. Thank you guys for watching the channel. Of course, hit that bell and thumbs up and subscribe if you like my content, and I'll see you next video. Take care.